Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a video that is everything on crystals that I have. All the cards and reference books and materials. I've been wanting to do this video for some time, and so I feel like this next year I'm going to get pulled in a lot of different directions. So even though I don't feel like I am completely prepared to do this, I want to do it because it's not something that I want to end up going on the sidelines and not happening. I do plan on sharing all the reference books that I have on crystals and gemstones, as well as any books I have on things like pendulum readings and crystal grids and things like that, as well as any type of oracle cards that I have on it. Everything crystals and gems. So I love crystals and gemstones. I've got a pretty good collection now. And I have been getting more into crystal grids, and I want to start doing some like healing body grids and things like that. It's not my main thing that I practice though. So with that said, and this coming year, I'm going to really be focusing on personal power. I don't know that that's the direction I'm really going to be diving into. So I wanted to go ahead and get this video out there, share the reference materials I have. I also plan on starting to do flip throughs for all of these books and decks as well. I had originally wanted to kind of do them all pretty close together, but I think it's just going to happen when it happens. So if I'm going through anything in here particular that you would love to see a book flip through of or a deck flip through of, let me know down in the comments so that I know to put those at the top of my list of ones that I do when I do get around to doing those flip throughs and stuff. And if I have any requests, I'll probably intentionally make time to make sure that those get done. So with that, I want to start with my resources, my correspondence books, information on gems and minerals. So let's see. I will say probably if I had to give one book to start with, if you could only afford one book, and you're newer to intermediate or advanced, and you just wanted to have a book on gems and minerals, I would start with the Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic by Scott Cunningham. This is a staple. It is tried and true. It's been around for some time. It has excellent information. It's got your magical correspondence and metaphysical meanings, and sometimes some folklore in here, what type of energies and elements and powers are associated to the, quite a few different stones, the common ones, the ones you're most likely to come across if you begin practicing with any type of gems and minerals, regardless of what type of use you'll have with them in your practice. I really like this book for that. If I had to recommend only one book, I would say go with this one. Okay, so now if I had to recommend a book that is way overpriced because it is out of print, but it is a fantastic book with a lot of information and a lot of gems, I would say it is Love is in the Earth, A Kaleidoscope of Crystals, the updated version by Melody. I don't know that she's got a first name on here. This book is chunky. It has so much information in there on the individual crystals. If it's something you can afford, it is a worthwhile book getting, but there are so many other good books out there as well. If you can't afford this book, don't get it. I mean, it is ridiculous what the prices go for. I think that when I bought this, I ended up paying $75 for it, and I just feel like that's way too much. And excuse all the tabs in the books because, like I said, I was planning to do this video and do flip throughs, and so eventually I'm going to do flip throughs of these if you see tabs in them. So great book, but definitely not something you have to have. You don't have to run out. You know, all the other books have excellent information in them as well. Go with what calls to you and go with what you can afford, because there's also a lot of good information online. So there you go. I think one of the online resources, now that I mentioned that, I should have planned for that. Healingcrystals.com, I think is what I want to say the name of the site is a really good one if you need some online resources that don't cost you anything. Okay, now we're going to go with a book that's newer to me, and I haven't really read through a lot of it. I have flipped through it, and I'm really loving this book, this perspective on the crystals, and it is called Crystal Basics by Nicholas Pearson. Excellent book. What I love about this book is that he has a foundational background in both the science of the gems and minerals and the metaphysical. So I think it says somewhere in here, he's been doing this for over 20 years. I think he was into gems and minerals since he was a child, and studied the science behind them, and then got into the metaphysical. And I mean, this is such a valuable resource to be able to have the perspective of both. So when I like to study things and learn about new things, it's good to look at things from every angle. History, other perceptions of the topic from, you know, different peoples, the science of it, the spiritual, the metaphysical of things. It's really good to have that balance and understanding and knowing of what you're working with. Even if you're only going to work with it in a metaphysical way, it's really good to have a deep understanding of what you're working with, and this is fantastic. So, great book. Loving it. I have not read it cover to cover, but I have gone through and read quite a few bits of information in it, and very happy with the book. Honestly, if there was one thing I could say is I wish he had more gems in here. I think he's got a lot of other books though, so I need to look at what his other books are, because really enjoy that book. Next, we're going to go with a popular author that's been around for some time, and that is Judy Hall. The first book I got from her is this humongous, like, width size. It's kind of hard to fit on a bookshelf is my one setback on this one, but it is called The Encyclopedia of Crystals by Judy Hall. And it's got beautiful, oh my gosh, Kunzite is got open to some cool stones that I've been looking into recently. Anyways, these beautiful color glossy pages with all these pretty photos in there, and it gives you a little bit of the science information, in other words, like the hardness and the source where you can find them. And then it also gives you things like the zodiac sign and numerology number for it and what they're beneficial for. So it's definitely more on the metaphysical side, but it does give you like the scientific makeup of the stones. It's just a beautiful book, and I actually quite like the information that they give for the stones in this book. I find they're relevant. I make some of the same associations to the gemstones. It's just it's very big. I mean, look at that, it's a big book. Not too thick, but it's just wide, but excellent book. So because I love this book so much, I did go ahead and get her Crystal Bible, which is very popular. These, I don't know if all the versions are this big, but this one is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be when I bought them. So they are 3 versions. And what it is it's pretty much the same layout in all the books. It's just your first book is going to be the most common crystals that you're going to usually come across or want to use. And then she goes deeper into more crystals, and then yet again even more. So that's why there's 3 of them, is because there are just so many gems and minerals and crystals out there. I mean, you can get kind of crazy with it. I don't really know. I'm still buying too many crystals because it becomes an issue where you're going to put them all. Seriously. Anyways, in these books, she again has some beautiful pictures. They give you the color, the appearance, the rarity of the stones, the sources, attributes, what they're good for healing, the positions, where to hold or position the stones for healing. Let's see. They give you some additional combinations of other stones to use them with. It's just, they're really, really good, useful books. So this is another one, probably the first one, aside from the very magical book. If you're not into witchcraft or doing spells with your gemstones and you really just want more of a metaphysical approach to it for meditation and healing, then I would probably recommend this one as a first go-to, just to have something, reference material on hand. So I have all 3 of those. Oops, I'm gonna slip. Those are falling out of my hands. I would love to know if you all have any other reference material books that you guys have that you like on gemstones. There are so many out there. There's a lot. So I'm always looking for more reference material books. But aside from that, I'm not really sure. Nothing's really specifically called out to me aside from the ones that I have right now. So if you have a favorite, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know. The other thing to keep in mind, as with everything metaphysical and witchy, learn to meditate with your stones. Learn to feel their energy. Learn to get your own interpretations and meanings for the stones, because it's all fine and dandy to have the information in a book, and a lot of times it is extremely helpful, especially if you're learning, and gives you a deeper knowledge of the stones. But you might pick up a stone and it might have a certain energy that works for you in a specific way that blends with your own personal specific energy or where you're at in life, and the stone may benefit you in a way that the books may not mention. Okay, so as with everything, study with it, learn it, but meditate on it and get to know its energy. And if something feels right to you, go with what feels right, right? You can't find all the answers aren't in books. People could write a million books. You're not going to find all the answers in a book. That's why there's so many of them. So much information. All right, next, let's see. Let's do, oh, sorry, that was a little further than I thought it was, out of reach. We'll go through the cards, and then we'll go through some of the other books I have on different practices with stones. So I'm going to go with this deck first because it also has a book in it, and it is called Crystal Healing Book and Card Pack by Tilly Lister. So this is one I think I actually ended up getting for like $1 or something because I had free credits on one of those used book apps. You know, there's a couple that I use from time to time. Honestly, a little disappointed that the book is connected to the back. I'm seriously considering cutting it out and creating a new like cover for it because I hate that. I mean, sorry, I try not to be negative on these videos, but I mean, how useless is that to have your book stuck in a box? I mean, you can still pull the cards out, but you can't pull the book out. So anyways, little pet peeve of mine. I'll probably end up cutting this book out of here. I had actually, because of that, debated getting rid of this, but I just intuitively feel that there's, you know, value in these cards for me. So I'm just going to keep it. But the book itself is a resource tool on basics on how to use the gems for metaphysical purposes. There's a lot of information on these stones that are related to, I think, we'll pull it out when we'll see it on the cards, because the information's on the cards as well. But they've got both your astrological as well as chakra relations with the different stones. And there's information on that in the book in here. And then I actually quite like these cards for studying and learning. They're more of a learning tool. I haven't really tried to read with them just because there's so much written information on them. The colors, and let me switch sides, maybe it's a better picture. And the images on them are good images. The fronts of the cards basically give you the colors that the stones could be, their qualities. So this one, for example, is labradorite, and its qualities are camouflage and energy shifting. And the chakras are all. And then we have, let's see, pearl abalone, right? Beautiful pictures. Nice small-sized cards. Basically like a deck of playing cards is the size. Gives you the colors. The qualities are tolerant, flexible, immune. And it's the sacral and heart chakras. So you've got those on there. Now, on the backs of the cards, like here's amethyst. You could have from pale violet to deep purple. Clarifying, calming, integrating, and the brow and the crown chakra. So these are a great learning tool. And then on the back, so that's your basic, you know, correspondence for them. On the back, they have information on like location. So center, southeast, east, northwest. Then it has the houses for like astrology, right? So first house, second house, all the way through to the 10th house. And yeah, so it looks like they've got just direction, like directional, like north, south, east, west, southwest, whatever, and all the way through 12 houses. So I'm going to show you the back. See if I can give you a close-up. So astrological, and I thought that the chakras, I guess, must just be on the front. I thought the back had some chakra information as well. I don't know if that's focusing. But it does. It's got chakras and apparently directional and astrological as well, with good pictures of the gemstones. And like here's lapis lazuli, very pretty. Black tourmaline, like I love that they call it, I don't know if I can say that, like scroll, SCHORL. So that is actually what black tourmaline is that's its actual name. So it's good information. It's just, like I said, I got pet peeves with the way that they glued the book into it. I seriously need to just get over it, cut the book out, and start using the deck. But, you know, sometimes the ego gets in the way in the funniest ways that you just got to kind of laugh at it, let it go, and move on. Okay, so there's that deck. I have not done a lot of work with it, but it looks like a great, great tool. Okay, next is my favorite deck. And it's a lot of people's favorites, and it's a lot of people's favorites for really good reason. And that's because it's just spectacular. And that is Crystal Reading Cards. So the Healing Oracle by Rachel Charman. This deck is amazing. If you're going to get one deck, now I realize I only own 3 decks in total, but this is the one deck that I would suggest. And please, if you guys have favorites, if you have a deck that you absolutely love that is for crystal readings, let me know in the comments. I want to know what you guys are using. I'd like to know what you find useful. So these cards, the images are a little bit more artsy. Okay, so they're not like pictures. I mean, some of them are clearer than others, but they kind of got a artsy, computer doctored up photos. Sometimes the colors seem a little off to me, but not always on these. But you know, the gemstones come in a lot of different colors, and like I said, it looks like someone's taken these photos and put them on the backgrounds on here. Like here's a good one. Like, see how the fire agate kind of blends into the background. It's got a pretty background. I love that personally, but it's not like a picture of the stone, right, on a solid background. But that's not really what I use this deck for anyways. It has basically the name of the stone and then one of its key qualities at the bottom, a single word. And these cards, for as simple as they are super powerful. Every time I've used them in a reading, it's been just very, very deep messages. Sometimes I get them straight from the cards. Other times, this is one of the books that I actually, as far as books that go along with decks, this book is fantastic. The information that actually goes with each individual card and their meanings, it's always been something in there has been spot on. So if I've actually felt led to pull out the book instead of going with an intuitive meaning, there has been a deep message within it. It may only be a section or something that's a keyword that really like triggers some of their memory or thought process. But every time I pull this book out, it's a deep message. So absolutely love this deck. This card deck is my favorite. Like I said, I've seen a lot of good reviews on it. It's a lot of people's favorite deck. For good reason. So that's a good one. If you're going to buy one deck, at this point in time, this would be the one I suggest. And like I said, though, I only have 3 decks total. So I got one more here for you all. So I would like to know what else is out there. If others have favorites, please let me know. So last but certainly not least is Lavish Earth. This is my second favorite deck. I absolutely love this deck. It is really a beautiful deck. She does have, let's see, I think this is a deck you have to buy on Etsy. And one of the cards kind of has a how to use the cards. And then there is also a chakra color guide as well on a card. And the rest are the cards. They have great pictures of the actual stones on top, as well as some information here. And then the bottom has some keywords, and then all around the outside, I don't know if you can see, but the outside border is always a quote of some sort. So this one, included quartz, says, "Work on your stuff, or your stuff will work on you," by Stephen Forrest. So that's the quote around the outside of this one. So it has a very relevant quote. I think that's kind of fun. It goes around the outside. You've got the message, the full message on the card, as well as the keywords at the bottom. Some of these pictures are just stunning. Like, look at this picture of garnet. That is just gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful deck. I'll show you guys a few more of them in case you'd like to see it. I just don't pull this one out as often. And I get really good messages from this deck as well. But when I'm doing some deep soul searching and need something very personal and touching to me, I tend to go for the crystal reading cards. These I love using for daily pulls. These are excellent. You learn more about the gemstones. You got quite a bit of information on here. It's already on the card. You don't got to pull a book out or anything. The pictures are good. You got quite a few, 3 to 4 keywords for each stone. A relevant quote that matches the energy of the stone. So that's actually really what I would use these more for, is daily card pull when you're getting used to working with stones. So very beautiful deck. All right, the sun is starting to come in here, so I gotta speed up a little bit. Last here, I have a stack of the books that I have that are basically for witchy and metaphysical uses of the stones. So we'll start with some divination, and then we'll go into like some grids and stuff. So the first, sorry, my hair is really bugging me today. First we have is a little book of pendulum magic by DJ Conway. So I know I've mentioned it before. I like her books. I've been going through and buying some of the ones I don't have because, I really like her information. Some of it's very basic, but even her books that have basic information, it covers a very good, broad foundation. So if you're looking at beginner books and things, I like looking at things that really give you a solid foundation that really covers all the basics, not just one little pinpoint of it. And this book is really good. I'll just show you the contents there. It's a great book for learning pendulum magic and pendulum reading. And in the back, I'll show you for all the different information throughout the book, she has these different charts. And so the charts are in the back that correspond to stuff throughout the book that she covers. So the back half of the book is charts to kind of show you how to use it, which is great. And those are kind of like a visual resource to go along with everything that she covers inside the book, and it covers a broad range of topics. So great book. The other one I have is A Beginner's Guide to Pendulum Dowsing by Brenda Hunt. I found this to be a good basic beginner book. It covers a good range of information, and it just kind of covers all the basics and goes through it for dowsing and pendulum work. How, when, where, why you're going to use it. It doesn't go into too much depth, but it gives you a good amount of information. So let me show you the contents on that one as well. I hope that's focusing for you guys. I can't really see it the way the light's coming in here. I just got another page of the contents. Okay, so those are really the two books that I have on pendulum use. Let me know if you have a favorite. I do have pendulums and I use them from time to time. It's not really one of my main divinatory practices. I like having one. I like going to it every now and then, but those are the books I have on it. Next, the first book I read on crystal grids. I read it last year. It's a good book. Crystal Grids Power. I would love to know from you all, anybody who actually does do a lot of crystal gridding of all shapes and kinds, what books would you recommend? I would love to see some videos on that because it's not a mainstay for me. It's not really something that I practice or share a lot. I have a spot to do crystal grids. I've started doing it. I like doing them. I want to get into them more, but There are so many books out there, and I would love to know what your favorite books are for that. But this book here, it's a basics. It runs through the basics and gives you a bunch of grids you can use on a lot of basic things and different patterns. Psychic development grid, sleep well grid, like here's a grid for your bed. I found even though I have a pretty large gemstone collection now, I found that a lot of the grids that are in this book call for stones that I don't have, or I don't have enough of them to do such in-depth grids. So I will say though that it has given me the basics and the understanding I need to create my own. So while I have found that even with my size of a gemstone collection that I don't have what I need to do the grids in here, what this book did give me was enough of an understanding of the basics to create my own with the stones that I have. So there's that. I do tend to usually prefer making up my own spells and grids and things anyways, but I feel like with grids it would be helpful to have something though with some pre-laid out grids to use and practice and get used to the energy that they create. Sometimes it's a useful tool to use others designs and grids, or even if you're learning spell work, sometimes it's helpful to use others layouts and modify them over time and learn before jumping into making your own. It's really kind of a balance, and it depends on the topic you're learning. For me personally, I feel like if I had some other grids that were pre-made that actually used the stones I had, that it would be very helpful. I will say that I believe that Kittens, Weights, and Tarot has a Patreon, and she did at one point, I don't know if she still does, do crystal grids and information on stones on her Patreon, and that is actually very excellent. I've learned a lot of information from there as well, so that's another thing to check out. And then another DJ Conway book. This one's pretty recent for me. I just finished reading it, Laying On of Stones. And what I'm excited about this book is it is all about using stones for healing and body placement. So if you want to lay down and place the stones in certain areas, in certain combinations, like there's one for insomnia, here's one for heart and circulation, eyes and vision, as well as enhancing psychic abilities. She's got a lot of grids that are useful in here, all using them on personal body, and then she actually does have some room placement as well, right? What I really like about her books, and especially this one from DJ Conway, is that the stones in here are stones I actually have, right? So, I mean, it just makes a difference, especially if you're getting into something. And I've been collecting stones now for like 7 years. So when you get a book and it's got so many stones in it that you don't even have, even though you've been collecting, that's a little discouraging. This book here, they're stones I actually have. And of course, if you're just starting out, you're gonna probably need to get some stones if you're just learning how to do grids and don't have a collection yet of stones. But yeah, I would love to know if you guys have any book recommendations for resource books, or learning anything from crystal grids to pendulum work, or divination, as well as any decks or anything that you have. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for watching.